butt and help her on her journey and stuff. It's awesome. Then you've got Columns. So Columns, it's a really good puzzle game, and like it's one of the three puzzle games on the system. We already have like Dr. Buck's Mean Bean Machine. Now we have Columns. I'll show you the third in a second. But Columns, you gotta like arrange these jewels of the same color diagonally, horizontally, or vertically, and they'll go kapoof, and you get points. And just gotta keep doing that. It's pretty cool. Then we've got Dynamite Heady, which is a really good platforming game. It's and you star as this Dynamite Heady character, and as implied by the title, he uses his head to attack enemies. He like chucks his head right off of his shoulders and whacks people with it. And he can gain different power-ups for his head that do different things, like sucking in enemies, shooting projectiles, being especially strong, stuff like that. It's really cool. And it's like very difficult but very fun. Anyway, it's made by the same guys who made Gunstar Heroes, so you know you're in for a treat. Then you got Strider, which is a Capcom platforming game. The box art isn't so great, but it plays this badass like cyber ninja named Strider Hiryu. Hiryu. He's Japanese. And you infiltrate Soviet Russia in the future and slice up commies with your sword. It's pretty cool. And you got parkour abilities. It's pretty awesome. Mm, it's pretty good. It's a really accurate arcade port to Genesis, so that's great. Now we've got Kid Chameleon. Kid Chameleon it's like a cult classic. A lot of people really like this game, and it's a platformer where you play this guy named Kid Chameleon. I'm a kid, and the thing is that there's this new arcade game in town, and the main bad guy of it, Heady Metal, I think, has been kidnapping kids and sucking them into the game. So now Kid Chameleon, who's like the toughest kid in the block, quote unquote. I mean, he's got a leather jacket and sunglasses, so he seems pretty tough. He has to don these different masks and helmets that give him new abilities, like a ninja sword, transforming him into a tank, an axe throwing maniac, like horror kind of character, and other cool things. It's awesome. Then you've got Light Crusader, which is an isometric 3D RPG game. It's pretty cool. That's all I gotta say about it. Then you've got Monster World 4, which was only released for Japan, but now it's here in the US and Europe if you live there, and it's pretty awesome. It's a lot like Wonder Boy and Monster World, but different. It's just really cool. And yeah. Then we've got Eternal Champions, which is a fighting game a lot like Street Fighter 2, made by Sega to kind of cash in. And you play as a bunch of these different characters from different time periods that have to fight each other for the the story is really cool because like the reason why all these characters from different timelines are transported together is that they're transported to the Eternal Champion like fighting ring moments before their death. They don't know that they're gonna die, but moments before their death. And the organizer of the tournament gives them this proposition: the winner of the tournament gets to gain the knowledge of how they will die, and then get sent back to the past so they can prevent their death and live out for all eternity, which is pretty darn cool. It's also, I'm not sure if this is just the Sega CD port, it might be the Genesis port too, but it is so gory and it is so cool. Like the over the top kind of gore, like guts and blood everywhere, and it is awesome. now we've got two bonus titles. They look pretty ordinary, but they are not. So, Tetris. This is a really important game to the Sega Genesis library. From Russia with fun. And yeah, it's like it's a block puzzle game, and you create lines with with a bunch of differently shaped blocks and make them disappear off the playing field. It's really cool. The thing is that this game was never released for Sega Genesis. Well, it sort of was, but only unofficially, and it was only like, I don't know, 4 copies out in the wild, and they realized their mistake. Nintendo held the rights to Tetris, so Sega couldn't release it. And now those few copies were floating around in the wild. One person has it, and it's trying to sell it for the grand total of $1 million. No one can afford that. So Sega decided to slap it on their Sega Genesis Mini. And it is awesome. A pretty cool piece of gaming history. And Genesis does what Nintendo don't. Nintendo does not have Tetris on any of their classic consoles. Sega got the one-up on them this time. No, Sega has the one-up on them, like, overall. They got more games on their system. They got a better variety of games. Like, for example, the SNES Classic had no puzzle games, and the NES Classic only had one in the form of Dr. Mario. But Sega has 3. Tetris, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, and Comms. 3 of the best puzzle games ever. So, yeah, good on you, Sega. And the thing is, with Nintendo's consoles, they did not have a good variety of games. They were great games, to be sure, but they didn't have a good variety. They had a lot of shovelware on the NES Classic. And the Super Nintendo Classic, it had good games, but there wasn't enough. So, Sega stepped up, and it gives you some bang for your buck. And to show you how above and beyond Sega went, they made an entirely new game for the Sega Genesis. Well, it's a port of an arcade game, but it's entirely built from the ground up for the Sega Genesis. Made by M2 and Sega. Just for the system. That's awesome. Pretty dang awesome. And yeah, that is about it. So, Sega wins this round. Like, you might have already gotten the NES and Super NES Classic, but I implore you to spend your money on this one. This one is a much better buy, and you get tons more bang for your buck. Sure, there are a few games that you would have wanted on there that are missing, like Sonic 3D Blast, Sonic 3, Sonic & Knuckles. Those are all gone. But honestly, I'm just going to give you some statistics here. If all those games are on there, that would have taken up 1/6 of the entire game library. That's a no-no. So, I can see why Sega went with only 4 of them, and they went with the 4 best ones. Well, sort of. They couldn't have put 3 on there because of music licensing, because a certain King of Pop has not been doing so well in the headlines recently, and he did the music for Sonic 3, so that's a no-no. And then Sonic & Knuckles, they couldn't get the lock-on feature to work, so that's out of there. Sonic 3D Blast, I love it, not enough people like it, so that's gone. But Shadow Dancer, that's kind of a cult classic, so there's the reason why that's not on there. Same with Rystar, but Rystar would have been a great fit for this system, but I understand why that's not on there, because that's been recently re-released. But yeah, like, despite those few omissions, the game library is amazing. They chose the absolute best out of everything in the most rarest, the most expensive, and the coolest games. And they're wrapping all 42 of them up into one $8 package. To buy all these games individually would probably set you back multiple $100s. But you get all of them in glorious HD with 2 controllers in this sleek looking box for $80. That's a good deal. And it's coming out soon. So, where you can pre-order this thing right now is Amazon, GameStop, I have no idea what that is, EB Games, Best Buy, Walmart, The Source, and Amazon Canada, or California, whatever the CA means. But yeah, that is about it. Um, yeah. So, like I already said, I really recommend that you buy this thing once it comes out, or pre-order it right now using the systems down below. Websites down below. But it's gonna be such an amazing console. It's already gotten rave reviews, and people love the games they chose, and I trust me, like, if you buy this thing, you're going to be very happy with your purchase. This is probably a better purchase than the Super Nintendo and NES Classic, maybe even combined. And if things go well, this is going to be the best retro game console on the market. Sega Genesis definitely does what Nintendo don't. So show Sega your support and buy this little thing. And even if you don't, um, at least like show your support and tell others about it. Like, let others know how awesome this thing is. And yeah. So just keep in mind that Sega Genesis Mini is coming out, and it is going to rock the world when it comes out on September 19, 2019. And yeah. I'm just going to end the video right here. Just remember, Genesis does what Nintendo don't.